is there are 4 pillars here with an inscription on each side, each in a different language. And they all say the same thing. Here's the English side. I don't know if you can make out all of that. I think you can, but you can read it on Wikipedia if you can't. The idea behind it, so the LARP behind this monument, first off, was that if the whole world collapses, if society collapses, this granite monument might still be around, just because it's in a good location, good material. It's not going to erode or something like that. So it's supposed to give advice in different languages as to how to organize society, so that's the LARP. Now, of course, most of them are just like, balance personal rights with social duties. I mean, it's just a bunch of platitudes, or, avoid petty laws and useless official. I wish we could actually do one of these things, but now the more controversial one is at the very top. I don't think you can read it with the lighting. Yeah, okay, so maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. So that's the controversial part, because there are, a whole bunch of conspiracy theory people. Let's go ahead and look at the inscription. So again, here's the English, and here is Russian. I'll go ahead and tell you I have an indirect personal connection to these guide stones. I'll tell you that in a second. Here's Spanish. There is Swahili. And on the other side, Hebrew, of course. And I was going to say Sanskrit. This is Hindi. This is Hindi, yeah. There's a Sanskrit inscription up there. I'll talk about that in a second. And actually, the typesetting, very disappointing. If you look at whoever typeset this cannot handle Devanagari on granite. I don't know, they probably do it better in India, but who's going to notice? And here's Arabic, same thing, and Chinese in traditional characters there. So now up at the top, on all 4 corners, you'll see there's another inscription. There's Egyptian up there. I mentioned Sanskrit is on this corner. Sorry, went a little blurry for a second. On the east corner over here is, looks like there's a little bit of, I don't know, water. I don't know what that is, some kind of black stuff, but that's ancient Greek up there. And on the last, I think their cuneiform, I think that's Babylonian. It might be Akkadian or something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Babylonian. Actually, it says on the, I think it says on this thing. Yeah, Babylonian cuneiform. So, and as they say here, let these be guidestones to an age of reason. It says it on each side. Now, I mentioned I have an indirect personal connection to these, and that is because my professor at University of Georgia, he actually wrote the Sanskrit and the ancient Greek translations up here. So I note that because, of course, he doesn't know anything about these guidestones. He was just commissioned to do it. Basically, actually, if you go over here to this informational plaque, it tells you some of the origins of this. Basically, some mysterious guy named R.C. Christian, probably a pseudonym, but he came around asking people to basically have this thing built. He said he represented a group of people who wanted it built. And he actually came to the University of Georgia when my professor, who was actually just starting out as, I guess, doing historical linguistics or classics or something like that, because he was looking for someone to translate, the saying into ancient Greek and to Sanskrit. So my professor did both of those, and if you can read ancient Greek, one thing he talked about is obviously, again, the translation is, let these be guidestones to an age of reason. And he was, there's no real word for guidestone, so, what it literally says, if you can read it, is, let these be, stones. Actually, let me actually read it first. Showing the way or something like that. So, with a participle. Or I think there's some blackness over that. Now, I can't actually make out the Sanskrit, and I don't really know that much Sanskrit, but I remember he mentioned that there's an error in the Sanskrit portion. I can't really make it out from here, and half of it isn't even visible from here. So anyway, that's the linguistic portion of this monument. Additionally, there are a couple astrological things here. So, actually 3 of them. One of them is this hole. Bam. Now this points through to, I think, the North Star or Polar North or whatever it is. So it is positioned perfectly for that. And then over here, this I think shows you the sunrise at the equinox, or the solstice, excuse me. Actually, let me double check that. I think it says over here. I thought it said over here. Oh yeah. Astrological features. So, channel through the stone indicates celestial pole. That's what I said. Horizontal slaw indicates annual travel of the sun. Okay, maybe it's not soul, whatever that is. And sunbeam through the capstone marks noontime throughout the year. So we'll go ahead and look at that. And that one up here, that is that thing up there. So obviously today, I don't know, sort of a mysterious monument there. Now, of course, there are a lot of other real monuments in the area commemorating real events and kind of stuff like that. But this is one that I think vexes people just because these, again, are the Georgia Guidestones.
Shalom. Kalayim La, Abanawa Yahweh Bashim El Shai, Bashim Ka Hakwadash, Kabad Lahaz Konyam, Shah Gamasa, Wahabayat, Shah Dawda, Wahabakariam. Is giving all praises, honor, and glory to Abanawa Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, in the name of Zilim Begat Son Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Also sending my honors double to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone, as well as peace, love, and salutations to the Bayat Shah Dawud, which is the house of David, Wahabakariam, and the elect, that indeed risen here in these last days, as the scriptures tell us so. So you see here, man, this guy basically giving his knowledge of the Georgia Guidestones. All right, and what I see is just a plea of what you see there, Psalms 49:11. Actually, I'm gonna read that. All right, it says, "Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names." All right, because this is what they think. They think after the ICBM missiles hit, all right, after the Lord's judgment on this place, which is should be expected, because the scriptures tell us so. All right, they think that they're gonna leave some type of message onto the next generation of Edomites to build according to the way they feel. All right, and this is their plight or their plea to the next generation of Edomites. All right, hey man, it's just them deceiving themselves, man. All right, it's simply them deceiving themselves. This is Psalms 2:1. It says, "Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing?" And that's exactly what they're doing, man. They're raging and imagining a vain thing. All right, because as the scriptures say in 2nd Ezra, all right, I'm gonna read 2nd Ezra now. 2nd Ezra 6:9, it says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth," man. All right, so man, you're the end of this world, man. So soon as Esau Edom, who is a so-called white man, soon as he's knocked out of the power seat, it's time for Israel to rule, man. And as anybody with basic knowledge of the scriptures tell you, man, when Jacob is set up, man, it's gonna be forever, man. It's gonna be a forever rulership. All right, that's the kingdom of heaven here on earth, man. All right, another few things I wanna bring out, concerning this. All right, this is proof of Psalms the 83rd chapter. All right, and I'm gonna read the 83rd chapter, but first I kind of want to explain how it's proof of that, because as you see all of these languages. You see Moab, which is a so-called Chinese. You see Sanskrit, Ishmael, Elam. All right, all these languages for all the nations that had part of the demise of Israel. All right, the true Israelites. We're not talking about the Esau, Edom, the Amalekites that are in the land, speaking a heathenistic version of Hebrew. But we're talking about the real Israelites, who you so-called Native Americans, African Americans, and Latino tribes. You are indeed the Israelites, man, as well as the faces, Israel throughout the whole earth that look and presume to be the other nations, man. All right, you are indeed Israelites, as the scriptures tell us so, man. But let me read Psalms 83:3. I'll start at 1. Psalms 83:1, it says, "Keep not thy silence, O power. hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up thine head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, of Ishmael, the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes. And it goes so on and so forth, speaking about the rest of these nations that have conspired against Israel, man. But this is proof, man, that this is or what you would call the Illuminati, the elite, the ones in the power seat, leaving their message, basically doomsday prepping, man. Doomsday prepping a male, all right? This is the message for after the destruction. Well, hey, man, after the destruction, this isn't going to be left, man. The Lord's going to destroy this, man. The Lord speaks about there be nothing left, man. The Lord's going to destroy this place, and these little tablets of written on rock are going to be destroyed as well. All right. One scripture I really want to touch on is in Wisdom of Solomon. All right. I'm going to start at verse 1, and I'm going to jump down to verse 9. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, verse 1, it says, For the ungodly saith, reasoning with themselves, but not all right. Our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave, to jump down to 9. So this is how they think, all right? Then to jump down to the 9th verse, it says, Let none of us go without his part of our voluptuousness. Let us leave tokens of our joyfulness in every place, for this is our portion, and our lot is this. And this is exactly what they did, man. This is an example of that, man. Them leaving their tokens, all right, of examples, and their monuments and their little messages and statues, all right? But hey, man, the Lord, like it says in Job, all right, when he's about, Job 20:23, it says, when he's about to fill his belly, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating, man. So all these nations, man, be prepared to be under the foot of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. All right? You know, I pray that this was a real short and really edifying, man. That's the Georgia Guidestones. All right? Hey, man, it's just a plea for Esau, man. Imagining vain things. With that, I say shalom.